Last night, USA versus Canada hockey gave us one of the wildest starts in international sports history. 3 fights in the first 9 seconds. So why is it that international hockey has this life or death feel to it and the World Baseball Classic struggles to really get fans hyped? Well, I want to tease out 3 lessons that baseball can learn from hockey, and specifically US baseball can learn from hockey to turn the World Baseball Classic into must-see TV in the United States. Now, first of all, we need to realize that in many other countries, this is a big deal. They live and die with the World Baseball Classic. In fact, some players have even gone on record for saying that they would rather win the World Baseball Classic than the World Series. But in the United States, it hasn't really taken off. So, first of all, we need to embrace and maybe encourage the rivalries. So for hockey, USA versus Canada isn't just a game, it's war on ice. Fans are emotionally invested in everything. It is the feeling of like two juggernauts going at it. Baseball needs to lean into these rivalries. We want some trash talk. We want some storylines. We want to kind of bring up old history, things that we embrace within the sport of Major League Baseball, but haven't really carried over into international baseball competition. Like, we need to build a little bit of rivalry between us and Japan and us and some of the nations that are from Central America. We really need to kind of build into these rivalries. Two, and a lot of other countries do great at this, but I think especially, even as a baseball purist, in these international competitions, we need to let these players show some emotion. Let's use that time for a little bit bigger of a bat flip, a little bit bigger of a trash talk, a little bit bigger of a stare down. By doing that and allowing big strikeouts to be celebrated and all of these things go, and maybe letting go a little bit of our temporary biases. And I say this as a Mets fan who was kind of frustrated with Edwin Diaz getting hurt. But the truth is, he got hurt in what could have happened pretty much anywhere. It wasn't a celebration-based injury. It just happened to happen during a celebration. So let's encourage more players showing emotion. And last, and this maybe is the most important thing, we're starting to see it trending in this direction, but we need to get star players to commit significantly earlier to this. That way, there is kind of this vested interest. And I would even say, as much as possible, bring in star players from as many different teams as possible to bring a broad fan and rooting base. Now, of course, I don't want to say, well, let's leave certain players off the team because they come from the same Major League Baseball team. But I think as much as possible, given the choice of 2 players that are roughly equal, that you pick one that's from a team that's not represented. That way you can bring in fans, and especially younger fans, kids from all these teams. Because I remember as a kid, I know adults don't like this rule of having 1 player represented from every team at the All-Star game, but that for me as a kid was such a big part of being invested in the All-Star game. So I wonder if you could figure out a way to get as many different Major League rostered teams players from those teams, from as many different teams as possible, to play on the World Baseball Classic team for the United States. And that way, each team could have a campaign that we're sending our best player or one of our best players to the World Baseball Classic. Now, one bonus thing that'll probably never happen, but somehow we maybe need to figure out how to give these players the freedom to actually go into these games and play at their maximum potential. Now, if we want to talk about would it be better to move this to a different time of year, that's maybe a separate discussion. But we need to give the players from the United States the freedom to go out there and play. And if a pitcher is pitching in a dominant performance, allow them to keep pitching. Now, of course, we don't want to see an increase in injuries, but at the same time, to really allow the star players to shine and allow new players to make a name for themselves, it will eventually be good, not just for the World Baseball Classic, but I believe for Major League Baseball as a whole. So right now we're in some qualifying rounds for the World Baseball Classic coming up next year, but I really hope that the United States can embrace some of these ideas that we saw play out in US versus Canada hockey and let them build into making the World Baseball Classic just a far superior tournament in the United States versus what it's been. Other countries have embraced this, and they're seeing just sold out, packed stadiums, fans from all around, like stop in the middle of the day to watch these games. And I would love it if we could get the World Baseball Classic to the same level here in the United States.